Hey, how's it going? Andy here. Welcome back to the 90s Rad. This is the 90s show I do here on my channel on Saturdays. So if you love the 90s, subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Today is going to be a little bit different. Today we're actually going to be having a discussion. Don't worry, you guys aren't in trouble. The 90s Rad isn't going anywhere. It's my favorite segment to do on my channel. Thought I had a burp. So I'm not getting rid of it anytime soon. So basically, I just want to talk about Nickelodeon. Not just Nickelodeon, but 90s Nickelodeon. And what made it so great. So last night I was watching Nicksplat, which if you don't know what Nicksplat is, it's a segment that's on Teen Nick that just plays 90s like cartoons and 90s shows. They even do like those old school like behind the scenes type of things they used to do back in the day. And it's great. It's something I try to watch every night. Because, like I said, I like it. I want to support it. It's actually something I'd like to see Nickelodeon split off into its own channel eventually, which they've done before with Teen Nick, Nick Gas, Nick Jr., and Nicktoons. I'm sure there's another one that I missed, but like I said, it's something I would love to see them just have it, just make it its own channel. Be 24 hours of just 90 shows. Like, they could even set it up like how they did back in the day. Just have, like, shows and cartoons. Then, like, on the weekend, you could have, like, Snick. Then you could have, Sundays, you could have Nick Gas. That'd be dope. I'd totally be down for that. But, yeah. So, I was watching Nick Splat, and they were having a marathon of Hey Arnold. I was like, man, this show is just so good. Just the dialogue is awesome. The characters, they're like unique looking, like, because obviously Arnold rather has a football head. Gerald, I remember they said his head was based off of a squash, and they had like these weird inspirations for each character, which was awesome. And then just like the dialogue, like I said, it was well written. The dialogue's great, the animation's great, music is awesome. And I was just thinking, I was like, man, what was so different back then compared to now? Like, why was 90s Nickelodeon just so good? Honestly, it's something I'm not 100% certain on. Like, I'm not going to be like, it's this or it's that. I think it's just it's multiple things. Like, for one, very well written shows. Great animations. Their live shows were funny. Like, you had, like, Kid and Kel, The Amanda Show. You had Adventures of Pete and Pete. That was a weird, quirky show. What else? All That, which is basically Saturday Night Live for kids. Are You Afraid of the Dark? You know? Like, they had shows like that, which how do I put it? They weren't afraid to just, like, try things, you know? They just weren't afraid to just kind of, like, cut loose and just, like, because if you watch Adventures of Pete and Pete, it's a weird show. It's weird, but it's good. It has awesome characters. It's well written. And that's, I don't know, it was just weird, you know? And, like, the cartoons, like I said, they did have some crude ones. I will say, like, Ren and Stimpy was a little adult-like, a little crude, a little MTV-ish, which, I mean, I don't mind. Parents didn't really seem to mind, except they cared for when we were watching, like, Cat Dog. They're like, no, you guys aren't watching this. Kind of weird. That lasted a whole, like, week, so we were able to watch that, but, like, they just weren't afraid to, like, kind of, like, push the boundaries, and I really think they just understood what kids liked and what kids wanted in a TV show and in cartoons. Like, they just understood. Like, it was, Nickelodeon was, I don't want to say, it wasn't corporate, but it wasn't, like, carefree, you know? Like, if you go to Disney, like, if you look at 90s Disney, it's like, okay, it's kind of, like, corporate-like. Same with, like, Cartoon Network, which that, maybe not. That was kind of, like, I don't know how to describe that, but, like, that had good cartoons. Some of the shows were very, very adult-like. Like Cow and Chicken, that Interesting. But yeah, just Nickelodeon as a whole, they just really understood kids. Like they just understood what we liked, like what made shows interesting to us, you know? Like the game shows by itself. Like Legends at a Hidden Temple, Figure It Out, Nick Arcade, I think I already said Legends at a Hidden Temple. Guts. You know, they made it fun. Like, they made those shows look fun, which is something I feel like if Disney were to try that, it just wouldn't work as well. It just... there was just something about, like, the game shows that just really worked. They were different. They were unique. Like, Double Dare, for example. Like, it was a trivia game, but you also had to do these physical activities to help gain points, and it wasn't just like, oh, make a couple baskets, which that was kind of what Guts was, but they made that fun. But it was like, you have to, like, take this colored water in a sponge and squirt it. It was just messy, it was fun. They just, I don't know, they just weren't afraid to, like I said, just kind of like push boundaries. You know, and they just truly, truly understood what kids liked, you know, and again, like, Disney had some great stuff. They had some great shows, even Stevens, Lizzie McGuire, they had some great cartoons, but my best memories was watching Nickelodeon. Like, I remember, it was a Sunday, I went to my friend's house who lived, like, right down the road. I just drove my bike there. And we were just playing video games, and it was like maybe like 1 or 2 o'clock. I was like, hey, we should watch Nick Gas. He's like, no, I'd rather play video games. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go home because I have to eat lunch, and I want to watch Nick Gas. And that's what I did, which, if you guys don't know what Nick Gas is, it's games and sports for kids. That's where they showed like new episodes of Legends at a Hidden Temple, Figure It Out, like Rocket Power they showed on there. Just basically anything. There's like games and sports related they showed on Nick Gas, which was awesome. They've always been like a big pusher, like whatever. They always like kind of like push kids to be like, hey, go outside. I don't know if they still do it, but they used to. They would just shut down Nickelodeon, like all their channels, and be like, go outside and play. Like, you wouldn't see Cartoon Network or Disney do that. And it was just really, really cool. Be like, hey, like on those days it'd be like, alright, I'm playing outside all day, which is fine. I used to play outside all the time, but yeah, just like I said, they just really weren't afraid to like kind of like push boundaries. Like I said, some of their shows were weird and just crude. Like I said, Ren and Stimpy was more adult-ish. But overall, I think just their shows were designed for kids. But it's something I feel like parents could also watch and be like, that's a good show. It's like, I watch, for example, Hey Arnold. Watch that, and it's just like, this is a good cartoon. Not just for it being a kid's cartoon, it's a good cartoon. But even, like, their kid, like, shows, like, their kid content, like Blue's Clues, great. Little Bear, excellent. Gullah Gullah Island, that show was just great. And it was just... like, even Muppet Babies, that was fantastic from what I remember. And they just, like I said, they just were able to balance, like, making it enjoyable for kids and also making it enjoyable for adults. And then even into, like, the 2000s, like, they were doing great. Like, with Drake and Josh, Zoe 101, I'm not gonna lie, that was my jam. Back in, like, 5th and 6th grade, like, I would watch that all the time. Like, they started showing that on, like, Sunday nights, I want to say. I would watch that because I was secretly in love with 95% of the girls on that show. But yeah, they just, I don't know, they just had this very well balanced. They weren't super serious, super corporate. And not to mention, Nickelodeon Studios, where they filmed a lot of, like, live action shows, were filmed in Orlando, which at the time I lived, like, 2 hours away from them. So that was awesome. Like, I could go there and be like, that's Nickelodeon Studios. Like, they're filming something there. Which, the last time I was at Universal, actually, like, they don't use that building anymore. They actually don't have a studio in Orlando anymore. I was like, damn, that's the studio where they filmed Legends of the Hidden Temple, Kaden and Kel, just a bunch of shows, and it was just so good, you know. And I don't know, it's just like I feel like after iCarly is when Nickelodeon started to like die out, like just like Victorious, it was decent, but compared to like Drake and Josh or like original all that or Keaton and Kel, it just doesn't compare. So like I'm not saying like Nickelodeon was like all their shows were golden, because there were some shows that weren't so great, like Angela Anaconda. Personally, like when I was younger, I liked it. Not so much anymore. There's just I don't know. That's really the only show I can think of that isn't like amazing. But overall, like all their shows were good, and it's just I don't know. This is me just ranting. Like I said, it's a conversation. Let me know in the comments. Why do you think 90s Nickelodeon was just so great? Like I said, I just feel like they just understood kids. They weren't like super corporate. They made TV watching fun for kids, is basically what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying Disney and Cartoon Network didn't, but Nickelodeon just made it more fun for kids. In my opinion, that's what I think. Again, in the comments down below, let me know, why do you think Nickelodeon was just so great in the 90s? And what's your favorite 90s Nickelodeon show? It could be anything. Just let me know in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Peace. I burped. Peace.